Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. A new ministry to focus on violence and related issues on the cards for Jamaica. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 29th November 2023. Brought to you in association with our friends at Antillian Group. Details when we return.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness announces plans for his administration to set up a new ministry to address crime and violence in the country. More in this TVJ News report with Andrea Chisholm.
The Prime Minister hinted at the proposal for the new ministry a few weeks ago in the House of Representatives. Days later, Opposition Leader Mark Golding said it was illogical as the country has ministries of national security and justice. On Sunday, Andrew Holness indicated that the study from the Commission for Violence Prevention, which is expected by the end of the year, will guide the process.
And when that study comes in, we are going to reorganize the government to create and bring all the agencies that deal with families, communities, social development, parenting. We're going to bring all of them together under one ministry. I'm thinking of calling it the Ministry of Peace and Human Development, but maybe that won't be the name.
Turning to the issue of garbage collection, the Prime Minister said plans to close the Riverton City dump in St. Andrew are far advanced. He reiterated plans to privatize the collection of waste.
We are now going to privatize the collection of waste in Jamaica. This is going to create a new incentive for the collection of garbage. It is going to bring new investments into garbage compactors. And it is going to bring new management to the process of garbage collection.
The National Solid Waste Management Authority will then assume the role of regulator. Now, Jamaica has been heavily criticized for not voting at the UN for a humanitarian truce between Israel and Hamas. On Sunday, the Prime Minister said Jamaica condemns terrorism and supports the rights of nations to defend themselves while preserving the rights of innocent civilians.
We are deeply concerned at the rising human cost in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and we welcome the current pause in hostilities. We urge all parties to seek a permanent solution, and we remain convinced that this can only be achieved by a negotiated two-state solution enabling the Palestinians and Israelis to live securely in peace and dignity.
St. Lucia's Prime Minister and political leader of the St. Lucia Labour Party, Philip J. Pear, has received the overwhelming endorsement of the ruling St. Lucia Labour Party, the SLP, to continue his party and government leadership. All of the 268 delegates present at the closed session of the party's Conference of Delegates voted in support of the political leader. The session took place at the Beanfield Secondary School on Sunday last.
The closed session of the SLP's Conference of Delegates took place over the weekend with 268 delegates from the 17 constituencies and the women's and youth arms in attendance. Apart from presenting reports, the event provided an opportunity for delegates to question ministers on matters relating to the party's agenda as outlined in its manifesto. For the second time, the political leader and Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre received unanimous support from all the delegates, who expressed confidence in his leadership of the party. Prime Minister Pierre has expressed his joy and gratitude for the endorsement.
The vote of confidence was held by secret ballot. So delegates did not have to vote by show of hands. Nobody saw where they voted. So I really want to thank them for their confidence in the leadership of the party. I want to thank the members of cabinet, the parliamentarians, and the party generally. I think the delegates have given a mark of approval to what the government is doing, to what the leadership of the party is doing. And I'm very thankful, I'm very grateful. I hope I will continue where we started, to our mantra of putting people first. That remains my singular, most important objective.
First Deputy Leader of the SLP, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, sees the vote as a huge thumbs up for the work the SLP administration has done since coming to power.
I can't tell you the feeling in the hall when everyone stood up, together to just demonstrate, that statement of confidence in him and what he's doing. So we've asked him to make sure he gets it again next year. And he made it very clear that we'll be pushing our agenda even more aggressively next year. And next year is going to be a big year in terms of infrastructural development in this country, roads, housing, and many other areas.
Sunday's closed session followed the open session, which was held 2 weeks ago. For the DBS News World, I am Zane Romulus.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick, in association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
One of the sub-region's oldest political leaders and current opposition leader of Grenada has indicated in a recent sparsely attended political meeting in an outlying district, thus giving his latest contradictory indication that he ain't going anywhere soon as leader of the party. More in this comprehensive news report from our affiliates at WPG 10.
There is growing evidence that the man who has spent nearly 40 years as an MP will not give up the leadership of the now opposition New National Party. Dr. Keith Mitchell said at a public meeting in Gov Sunday night, in speaking briefly about his leadership, that he is not going anywhere.
I want to tell you this. The party has a leader. So don't worry about any noise in the street and say, "Doc going." I ain't going anywhere.
The night before, at a similar meeting in the west coast town of Victoria, Mitchell said he had never definitely said he had planned to leave, even though at his party's last convention, almost 2 years ago, he said it would be his last. He had also spent his entire general election campaign saying it would be his last as a leader.
As the current political leader of the New National Party, I do not intend to hold this position beyond the party's next convention.
At the Victoria meeting, the former Grenadian leader said he is in good shape to continue.
And anyone coming and tell you, Doc say he going, and Doc say time he won't run again. When I want to tell you that, I go tell you. Let no damn person come and tell you that. Tell them they are not Doc friends to come and tell you that Doc say. Doc will tell you himself.
Sources inside the NMP said that Dr. Mitchell wants to return as Prime Minister, though he would have turned 80 by the next general elections. He has also stopped the party from calling a convention, though it has been in violation of its constitution on the issue. Dr. Mitchell said the party needs to get organized before the next convention, with watchers saying that it is a euphemism to mean he needs time to handpick delegates. The view of party insiders is that Dr. Mitchell does not feel he can win with the current delegates, though the constituency branches constitutionally selected them. Mitchell suggested he will have a direct say on who becomes the party's next leader, though this is not the issue for right now.
When the time comes, the leader will tell you when that time comes. I will be the first to tell you about that. But I will make sure before I ever leave the scene, whenever that happens, that the right persons are in place to protect the future of Grenada, Carriacou, and people.
Dr. Mitchell's apparent more often strident stance on the issue of leadership comes on a weekend where a local newspaper reported on a poll from a hitherto unknown outfit that shows he is not favored to continue leading his party. It also comes at a time when the man many say is favored to replace him has had what has been described as enthusiastic semi-public gatherings in rural St. Patrick and St. Andrew.
And now for a regional roundup with Tiana Cole of HGP Nightly News out of Guyana.
A magistrate court has acquitted a man accused of making death threats against Prime Minister Philip Davids of bail violation charges after upholding a case of no submission filed by his lawyer. Isaac Roberts, 22, stood before Magistrate Samuel McKenney on 10 counts of violating bail conditions. The court heard that in February, Roberts allegedly called the Central Police Station and threatened to kill Prime Minister Davids if the leader of the Coalition of Independence, Lincoln Bain, was not released from custody after he was arrested outside the Baha Mar during an immigration protest during a CARICOM Community CARICOM Heads of Government meeting. Prosecutors allege that since being charged, Roberts failed to ensure that his monitoring device was fully charged between the period February 23 and June 14. Roberts pleaded not guilty to the offense and said he called Metro Security to inform them that his device malfunctioned and that the charging pod wasn't working. But police said Roberts was at fault even as a representative of Metro Security testified that they got a call from Roberts about the device. The company did not check the device functionality or offer a replacement. The Saudi Arabian government sent 2 private jets to fly CARICOM heads to the Middle East and also footed a bill for the accommodation, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley revealed. However, he said this does not mean that there was any quote-unquote sellout in accepting transportation from the Saudis for the Saudi Arabia CARICOM summit. Speaking at a news conference at the Diplomatic Center in St. Anne's, Rowley said the Saudi government sent 2 jets, one to Barbados to transport CARICOM leaders from the Southern Caribbean, such as Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, and Suriname, and another jet to Miami to transport leaders from Jamaica, Belize, etc. He said it is quite normal for heads of government to be accommodated when they visit. The Prime Minister spoke about the successes of his visit to the Saudi Arabia with his delegation for the first Saudi CARICOM summit last week. He said there were discussions ranging from energy, tourism and development, funding in particular, as it relates to climate change. He said the region is affected by climate change and needs the help in providing protection. I'm Tiana Cole.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean.
In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.